Hello, everyone. Thank you so much from Robin, Judy, Claudine, and our Centre for Deaf Studies. We're just so excited that you have joined our campaign, and it now becomes our campaign, all of you. They're working with me also, Neema, my NPO that I started. So I'm so happy to be meeting you as well. So, first I want to tell you, yes, I have experience as a social auxiliary worker for 15 years. And I have to thank DEFSA. I have to acknowledge them and the role that they played in my life to get to where I am today. So thank you so much, DEFSA, for this important role that you played in my life. So I then established the NPO. Okay? So my organization, Neema, NPO that I started. And Neema is a word from the African continent, Swahili. The Swahili word means in God's grace. And so that is the organization's name, Neema, in God's grace. And I established the NPO last year. And so Neema focuses on empowerment, creating awareness for deaf and hard of hearing people, but particularly women and youth and deaf children. And so with women, youth, and children are vulnerable in the country. They are vulnerable in the world. And because of this vulnerability, I chose to focus on this specific group of the population. And so this is the name sign for Neema. So the role that I play is filling the gap in the areas that are not getting services. And so that was my focus: deaf women, deaf children, and deaf youth. Deaf women have so many different experiences in life. Economy, mainstream, everything in South Africa impacts deaf women, children, and youth, but particularly gender-based violence. And we need to make sure that we skill women and children and youth. Because the education system is so weak, we need to empower them. They need to learn more. We need to give them opportunities. The second thing we focus on is the social cohesion and the positioning of this community within the social cohesion of South Africa. We really believe it is essential for deaf and hearing people to work together. We can't just work as deaf people fighting for deaf rights. We're involved with the hearing people because they often talk about us without us. So working together with one voice to fulfill our cause. So we learn from the hearing, but importantly, they learn from us. Many hearing people that are in key positions don't know about what we struggle with. They don't know deaf people. And it's only through working with us that they can truly meet our needs. So empowerment would be the next area of focus. Empowerment in showing women, particularly who haven't gone to school. I mean, many women are dropouts from school. And so Neema wants to prepare to help women to stand up for themselves and not be dropouts. Women can do anything men can do. Women can do anything hearing people can do. So we are very interested in interventions related to gender-based violence because we need to make sure that our community understands For example, what is domestic violence? And I'm going to give you a few examples. It includes physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, economical abuse, intimidation, stalking, damage to property. And so many deaf people are experiencing this. Deaf women are experiencing this, and they think that that's just part of the relationship that they have with a boyfriend or a spouse. They think it's okay to be beaten around, smacked around. They don't know that actually that's not okay if that's all that they've experienced. And so we need to create that awareness so the deaf women know that they can report things like this and that it's not normal. So let's talk about the impact of gender-based violence, particularly within the deaf communities. One of the biggest concerns is that there is no reporting of gender-based violence, particularly because the problem of communication within the justice system. They don't have interpreters. And for example, when I was a social auxiliary worker before, in trying to report something, I had to bring my office interpreter with to help a person from the local community. And that is not acceptable, that there is not an interpreter there, and that they then have to rely on a family member who really can't communicate well. And so sometimes a family member might not say the truth, they might make mistakes, fake information is shared, and that then impacts on the validity of the reporting. And so one of the things that Neema wants to do in terms of gender-based violence is actually go with women for reporting, help them with access, support them with it, give them information, and if necessary, try and provide an interpreter. And I can be a relay interpreter if needs to be. And so sometimes we've got community members that sign and a regular interpreter doesn't understand them. I don't mind being a relay community interpreter as well. One of the other concerns that we have of the impact of gender-based violence is the high dropout rate of our deaf youth. We need more awareness that gender-based violence impacts on youth in terms of dropout rates, drug abuse, and deaf organizations really need to work far more closely with schools and the deaf youth. Because for many years, deaf women, deaf youth have suffered. We have deaf organizations, and now we are saying it's high time. It is essential that we start working together to fight this terrible thing. We've got acts, like MP Wilmer told us, there are acts. We've got the bills, we've got the Criminal Act, the Bill of Sexual Offences, we've got the violence. And so number 116 of the 1998 is clear for us. We have rights and we can report these. But unfortunately, we then have the barrier of reporting lack of access because of the interpreters. And so that communication barrier needs to stop. We need to fight against this barrier. Another impact of gender-based violence is related to the fact that young girls don't know what to do. Tell a friend. If they're experiencing abuse, we want to be able to tell these young girls they can report. If you don't know where to go to a deaf organization. We've got so many organizations, DEFSA, Sunda, Neema. Tell someone. A lot of deaf people don't tell anyone, and then the abuser wins. And then holding it in means they have emotional problems and mental health issues, and that's not okay. So what we want to do is tell our children, tell our youth that it's important to report the abuse. So the most important thing to do is you report it closest to your home. Take a friend with, take an interpreter with. Go to a deaf organization and ask someone to come with you when you go and report. Make sure you report with an interpreter at the police, for example. You can do it, and making sure that when you do report, the hearing world out there has access, and it's easy. We haven't had access. Now, the other really important thing is that for a woman who needs shelter, there are many shelters out there. And we know that there's the TCC, the Tutuzela Care Center, TCC, and that is our sign, Tutuzela, because it's a caring center. The Tutuzela centers are all over the country. And up until now, we know that there has not been any access. The Centre for Deaf Studies recently did a survey of the 54 TCC centers. And out of all the 54 TC centers they phoned, there was not access for deaf people through interpreters, but with one. And so that is evidence that the TCC centers are not accessible. And we need to face this as a deaf community and fight again and again. We need to work together. Interpreter's mistake, I forgot to add that they could then access shelters for women if there is a problem of safety. So we need to tell women that they can make contact. Contact the Department of Social Development. Anything you need that you don't have, contact us. We will give you information, lists of resources. And so now Neema has joined the fight along with DEFSA, Sanda, the Centre for Deaf Studies, Safe Space. We are now saying, I'm just joining this wonderful big team together to fight for the rights of deaf women, deaf children. We speak with one voice as we fight and walk, even if we have to Parliament as part of this campaign. Government needs to hear us about our suffering.